Very fresh good morning and Jai Hind, my dear children. In my previous video, we studied that Dr. Sadav and General discussed how to kill the man. He suggested to provide him professional killers who will kill him. Dr. Sadav was accepted his idea to open the doors at night so that he would be killed by the professional killer. Now we will study what actually happened. Good, the general said, yawning. They are very capable agents. They make no noise and they know the trick of inward bleeding. If you like, I can even have them remove the body. The general was over with the talk and so he yawned to show disinterest. He added that was a good thing. He commented that the killers were experts. They did not make any noise and kill the person in such a way that he bled inside. There would be no trace of blood on his body. He would even ask them to remove the body if Sadav wanted. Sadav considered that perhaps would be best. Excellency, what would be best? To remove the body. He agreed, thinking of Hana. Sadav thought about Hana and said that would be very good. He left the general's presence then and went home, thinking over the plan. In this way, the whole thing would be taken out of his hand. He would tell Hana nothing since she would be timid as the idea of essence in the house, and yet certainly such persons were essential in an absolute state such as Japan was. How else could rulers deal with those who oppose them? Now he has different kind of thoughts. When he come to know about the personal killers, what he is thinking about that, if what would happen if you have political rivals or rivals in your life. So these kind of murders are very common. We also witness a lot of assassinations happen. So now he is thinking, if you are powerful enough, anything could be happen to anyone. If you are powerful enough, you can kill anybody to use your power. He refuses to allow anything but reason to be the atmosphere of his mind as he went into the room where the American was in bed. But as he opened the door, to his surprise, he found the young man out of his bed and preparing to go into the garden. Sadav did not let any thought enter his mind as he went into the room where the American man lay asleep. And what he noticed, the man was about to go to the garden. What is it? He exclaimed. Who gave you permission to leave your room? Sadav was shocked as he asked him that who had permitted him to stand and walk. I am not used to waiting for permission, Tom said gaily. Gosh, I feel pretty good again, but will the muscles of this side always feel stuck? Tom was happy and said that he was not in a habit of taking permission before doing anything. He said that he felt good again, just the muscles on the side of his body was stiff and rigid. Is it so? Sadav inquired, surprised. He forgot all else. Now I thought I had provided against that. He murmured. He lifted the edge of the man's shirt and gazed at the healing scar. Massage may do it, he said, if exercise does not. Sadav was surprised to hear that. He forgot all work and said that he had warned the man not to stand and walk. He lifted the man's shirt and inspected the scar. He said that massage could heal it if it would not be healed by exercise. It won't bother me much, the younger man said. His young face was gaunt under the stubby blonde beard. Say, doctor, I have got something I want to say to you. If I hadn't met a Jap like you, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. Sadav bowed, but he could not speak. The man said that the scar would not trouble me. His young weird face was weak, and he wanted to thank what he considered that he is alive because of him. Sure, I know, that Tom went on warmly, his big chin hands gripping a chair were white at the knuckles. I guess if all the Japs were like you, there wouldn't have been a war. Tom added that he was sure of that as he held the chair tightly held the chair tightly with his chin, with his thin hands, the knuckles turned wild askew, and what he is saying that there would be no war if all the Japanese would be like the Dr. Sadao. Or Dr. Sadao said the same thing, perhaps Sadao said with difficulty. And now I think you had better go back to bed. He helped the boy back into the bed and then bowed a good night said. Sadao slept badly that night. Time and time again he woke thinking he heard the rustling of footsteps, the sound of a twig broken or a stone displaced in the garden, a noise of such as men might make who carried the burden. Sada was restless all through the night as he felt that the hired killers were there to kill the man. He imagined hearing the sound of footsteps, branches being broken, stones moving as men walked on them, and imagined that he heard such a noise which indicated that some men were carrying the American's dead body. All this anxiety kept him awake. This is called the conscious. The next morning, he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. If the American were gone, then he could simply tell Hannah that so the general had directed. But when he opened the door, he saw at once that there on the pillow was the shaggy blonde, and yet he could hear the peaceful breathing of sleep, and he closed the door again quietly. In the morning, he went to the room to check whether he was killed or not, and he saw him sleeping. He returned back. He is asleep, he told Hannah. He is almost well to sleep like that. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Sadat shook his head. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. Hannah again asked Sadat that what should they do with the man. Sadat shook his head and promised her that he would decide it in 1 or 2 days. But certainly he thought the second night must be the night. There rose a wind that night, and he listened to the sounds of winding bows and whistling partitions. Sadao thought that perhaps the killers would come to the next time. The night was windy. He heard the sounds made by the branches as they bent due to the wind, and the partition made whistling sound as the wind passed through the partition. Hannah woke too. Ought we not to go and close the sick man's partition? She asked. Hannah woke and asked that should they close the partition door at the man's room. No, Sadao said. He is able now to do it for himself. But the next morning the American was still there. Then the third night, of course, must be the night. The wind changed to quiet rains, and the garden was full of the sound of dripping eaves and running spring. Sadao slept a little better, but he woke at the sound of the crash and leaped to his feet. Sadao was hopeful that they might come on the third night instead of wind. There was rain that night. The garden was full of noises as the water dripped down the roof and the volutes floors through the garden. Sadao slept a little and jumped as he heard a loud noise. What was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at her voice and began to wail. I must go and see. But he held her hand and would not let her home. Sadao, she cried. What is the matter with you? Don't go, he muttered, don't go. His terrified infected her, and she stood breathless, waiting. There was only silence. Together they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. Hannah heard the loud crash and asked what is that? What that? The baby also woke up and started crying. Hannah wanted to go and check on it, but Sadao stopped her. Hannah screamed of him and asked what the matter was. Sadao spoke slowly and asked her not to go. He was scared, and his scares affected Hannah too. He stood without breathing and waited. There was silence, and both of them crawled back into the bed with the baby lying on the bed in between them. Yet when he opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man. He was very gay and had already washed and was now on his feet. He had asked for a razor yesterday and had shaved himself, and today there was of faint color in his cheeks. Next morning, when he visited the room, he saw the man was there and very fresh. "I'm well," he said joyously. Sadao drew his kimono round his weary body. He could not, he decided suddenly, go through another night. It was not that he cared for the young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. Sadao wrapped his traditional kimono gown and decided something. And what he decided, he was not bothered about the man's life, but he could not bear the stress and anxiety any longer. "You are well," Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. "You are so well that I think..."
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.
What he thought? He decided something. What he said, "You are so well that I think I put my boat on the shore tonight with food and extra clothing in it. You might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. Nobody lives on it because in storm it is submerged, but this is not the season of storm. You could live there until you saw a Korean fishing boat pass by. They pass quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there." Finally, he decided. What he decided? He decided to help that man to escape from his house. He decided. The young man stared at him, slowly comprehending. "Do I have to?" he asked. "I think so," Sadao said gently. "You understand? It is not hidden that you are here." The young man nodded in perfect comprehension. "Okay," he said simply. So, the young man stared Dr. Sadao because it was not simple thing to trust. He asked that was it necessary for him to do so. Sadao pleaded that he must understand that the fact that the man was living at his house was known to everyone. The young man agreed with him and said okay. He moved his head to indicate his acceptance. Sadao did not see him again until evening. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat down to the shore, and in it he put food and bottled water that he had bought secretly during the day, as well as 2 quilts he had bought at one shop. The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high. There was no moon, and he worked without a flashlight. When he came to the house, he entered as though he were just back from his work. "And so Hana knew nothing. Yummy was here today," she said as she served his supper. Though she was so modern, still she did not eat with him. Yummy cried over the baby. She went on with a sign. She misses him so. When Sadao came home, he pretended as though he had returned from work so that Hana did not guess anything. Hana served him the evening meal and said that Yummy had visited them that day and she missed the baby a lot. Although Yummy was modern, she did not eat with Sadao. "The servants will come back as soon as the foreigner is gone," Sadao said. Sadao said that he went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American temperature, the state of the wound, and his heart and pulse. The pulse were irregular, but that was perhaps because of excitement. The young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only the scars on his neck were red. "I realize you are saving my life again," he told Sadao. "Not at all," Sadao said. "It is only inconvenient to have you here any longer." The young man said to Sadao that he was saving his life once again. Sadao said that it was not like that. He was sending him because he could not keep him any longer. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight, but he had decided to give it to him after all. It was a small one, his own, which he used it used at night when he was called. Sadao was reluctant in giving a torch as he felt that if the man used it unwisely, he could be spotted and land into trouble. If your food runs out before you catch a boat, he said, signal me 2 flashes. At the same instant the sun drops over the horizon. Don't signal in darkness, for it will be seen. If you are alright but still there, signal me once. You will find fresh fish easy to catch, but you must eat them raw. A fire would be seen. Sadao instructed the man. He said that if his stock of food finished before he found a Korean fishing boat, he could signal him with the flashlights. All the instruction he gave. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes which Sadao had given him, and at the last moment Sadao wrapped a black cloth about his blunt head. Now Sadao said, the man wore the traditional Japanese dress that Sadao gave him to wear. Finally Sadao wrapped a black cloth around his head to hide his golden colored hair. The young American, without a word, shook Sadao's hand warmly and then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Twice Sadao saw his light flash to find his way, but that would not be suspected. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash, then he closed the partition. Then that night he slept. Now American left the house. The American man shook his hand and he left the house and signaled one flash only. At that night Dr. Sadao slept. You say the man escaped? The general asked faintly. He had been operated upon a week before, an emergency operation to which Sadao had been called in the night. For 12 hours Sadao had not been sure the general would live. The gallbladder was much involved. A few weeks ago, General had been operated upon in an emergency in which Sadao took part. Sadao informed him that the man escaped. The general was weak as he was recovering from the operation. For 12 hours after the operation, his condition was critical and Sadao was not sure that he would survive. They had operated upon his gallbladder. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again and to demand food. Sadao had not been able to ask about the agents. So far as he knew, they had never come. The servants had returned and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burnt sulfur in it to get the wild man's smell out of it. Nobody said anything, only the gardener was cross because he had got behind with his The gardener was an old man after the operation, and the operation was successful. Dr. Sadao did not ask about the agents and all the servants of his home. They all returned. But after a week, Sadao felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. Yes, Excellency, he is scared, Sadao now said. He kept signifying that he had not said all he might have said, but was unwillingly to disturb the general further. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. After 1 week, when general was okay, he explained all the story that he escaped. That prisoner, he said with some energy, did I not promise you I would kill him for you? You did, Excellency, Sadao said. Well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. So I did, but you see, I was suffering a good deal. The truth is, I thought of nothing but myself. In short, I forget my promise to you. Sadao replied that he had promised him. The general was surprised and said that as he was suffering due to bad health, he had forgotten all about the promise that he had made. I wondered, Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said, but you understand it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. He looked anxiously at his doctor. If the matter should come out of you would understand that, wouldn't you? Sadao, certainly. Your Excellency, Sadao said. He suddenly comprehended that the general was in the the general was in the palm of his hand, and that as a consequence he himself was perfectly safe. I can swear to your loyalty, Excellency, he said to the old general, and to your zeal and against the enemy. Now you notice the change. Now Dr. Sadao is relieved. Why he is relieved? Because when he shared the story, when he informed General that the prisoner escaped, General remembered his promise and the promise he didn't keep. Now General is justifying himself by saying that he forget all the stuff because of his ness, and he tried to prove his patriotism. He tried to convince Dr. Sadao that whatever happened, it was not the matter of patriotism. He forget because of his illness, and Dr. Sadao felt at that moment that journal is in his hand. Now he is in safe zone. The ball is in his court. Sadao said that he understood the general's position well. He understood that general was in his control, and a result, Sadao was safe. You are a good man, the general murmured and closed his eyes. You will be rewarded. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilighted sea that night, had his reward. There was no prick of light in the dusk. No one was on the island. His prisoner was gone, safe, doubtless, for he had warned him to wait only for a Korean fishing boat. The general was relaxed and said that Sadao was a good man. He closed his eyes and said that Sadao would be rewarded for his goodness. Sadao got his reward when at dusk he looked towards the island and saw no trace of torchlight. That means this indicated that the American man had found a Korean fishing boat and had gone with it safely back home. Sadao did not doubt this, as he had instructed the man to wait for a Korean fishing boat. He stood for a moment on the veranda, gazing out to the sea from whence the young man had come that other night, and into his mind, although without reason, there came other white faces he had known. The professor at whose houses he had met Hannah, a dull man, and his wife had been a silly, talkative woman. In spite of her wish to be kind, he remembered his old teacher of anatomy, who had been so insistent on mercy with the knife, and then he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady. He had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. The Americans were full of prejudice, and it had been bitter to live in it, knowing himself their superior. How he had despised the ignorant and dirty old woman who had at last consented to house him in her miserable home. He had once tried to be grateful to her because she had in his last year nursed him through influenza, but it was difficult, for she was no less repulsive to him in her kindness. Now he remembered the youthful, haggard faces of his prisoner, white and repulsive. Strange, he thought. I wonder why I could not kill him. In the last stanza, you can notice what happened. Dr. Sadao stood where the story started, and he remembered all the Americans whom he met during his study time. Sadao stood in the veranda and recollected the past event. He looked at the sea from where the man had come that night. He had flashbacks of all the Americans he had met in his life. The dull professor of whose house he had met Hannah, his silly talkative wife who was very kind. He remembered his teacher of anatomy who had taught them to cut open the body with a knife. Then he remembered the fat, untidy landlady. Being a Japanese, he had found an accommodation in America with great difficulty. He hated living there knowing that the Japanese were superior to the Americans and still being treated like inferiors. Sadao disliked the dirty old woman who finally agreed to let him live in her home, which was in a bad condition. Sadao tried to be thankful to her because she had taken care of him when he was struck by influenza during the last year of his stay in America. It was difficult for Sadao to be thankful to her as he hated her even though she was kind to him. Sadao hated her so much that her kindness also did not make him like her. Finally, Sadao remembered the weak face of the American prisoner. It was difficult for Sadao to thankful to anyone. Finally, Sadao remembered the weak face of the American prisoner. It was white in color and was terrible. Sadao felt that it was strange that he could not kill the enemy. So this was the chapter. This was the story of the enemy. In few words, I will summarize the story so that you connect. What is the story? The enemy is a story set in Japan during the Second World War. In this story, an injured American army man washed up on the beach near the home of a Japanese surgeon, Dr. Sadao Hoki. Although he has lived in America and follows a modern profession, Dr. Sadao family live in traditional Japanese life. Dr. Sadao is in dilemma to leave the American man to die, to throw him back into the sea, to hand him over to the army. Whatever he thought, but what happened? Dr. Sadao sheltered him, operates him and saved his life. Out of the fear of being accused of sheltering an enemy, he narrates the incident to the general in the Japanese military. The general helps Dr. Sadao and offers get the man killed. But finally, he provided all the things to rescue that man and he arranged his escape. It was the end of the enemy. I hope you all understood this chapter very well. There is one question I want you to do in writing and send to me. You have to do the critical analysis of both character of Dr. Sadao and the general. You have to do the critical analysis. In this chapter, many times questions are raised on the patriotism by the servants, by himself. So you have to decide, you have to discuss whatever Dr. Sadao did was not the patriotism. Was he traitor? What do you think about the Dr. Sadao? The action he did was against the country, against the betterment of the country. Whatever you think, you have to write down in form of essay, in form of article, and you have to send it to me. I hope you all understand the chapter. The basic theme of the chapter is the humanism. You have studied two characters. American soldiers both participated in the war differently. One is directly fighting with the enemy, second one is fighting with differently. But how you can judge someone's patriotism toward someone's nation? How is it easy to label a person patriotic or not patriotic? Is it right to label a person? So you have to discuss all these things and you have to provide me in writing. I hope you enjoy this chapter and we will discuss all the questions based on this chapter in my live class. Whenever I will send you invitation, you all have to join the class for the discussion of the question answer of the enemy chapter. Till then, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy and comment. Write the comment, provide me what you got from this chapter. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Jai Hind to all.